Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jared with the Dutch Oven Smokehouse, the Outback Cooking Company channel, and Outback Eats. Welcome to summer, everybody. I think this is our first official barbecue roll here we're gonna do. So for that, today we're gonna smoke some St. Louis ribs. We haven't done this before. Obviously, we've got some barbecue sauces we've been promoting. Some of you guys have been watching. So we're gonna get to it today and show you what these sauces are all about. We're going to incorporate our Sweet Sassy sauce today. We've got some of our homemade Kansas City barbecue rub that we like to use. And we're gonna give you some easy step-by-step instructions to make some awesome ribs on your backyard grill. Everybody's got their own Outback. Today we're out back of our house, out in our backyard. Of course, we'd rather be out back in the wilderness somewhere, but here we are today, so we're gonna take advantage of the beautiful weather and get to work. Today we're using St. Louis pork style spare ribs. We've got these from our local supplier. These ribs here are actually a local grown pork product that some of our local farmers even supply this company. It's a Prairie Fresh natural rib made by Seaboard Company. Anyway, these come two to a pack. Oftentimes you can buy one or two in your local store. We've got these from our big supplier, so we're doing a big catering event, and we just thought while we're doing that, we're going to show you guys how to do some awesome ribs on your backyard barbecue. First things first, we'll cut these open. This is a 2-pack. If you guys have a pan, you can just lay those in there somewhat like that. We're going to trim these up just a little bit. Trim some of the fat off and some of the miscellaneous parts. But most ribs will have this thin membrane on the backside, and I'll show you here in a minute how we're going to dispose of that. It's okay if you leave it on if you don't get all that off. I'm going to show you how to remove it. But it makes for a nicer chew or nicer bite if you can remove that. To get that membrane off, if your ribs have come frozen, obviously the best thing is to let those things thaw overnight in your refrigerator. I like to take a paper towel and dry off any extra moisture or liquid we've got on there. If you can dry that backside off a little bit, it makes it easier to get a hold of this membrane. It's pretty simple to take that off. Simple if you've practiced it. Sometimes it's not simple, but I've done it enough that basically you take a dry paper towel and you're going to reach in here and grab this membrane like this. The reason I'm using a paper towel is just to get a little more friction on there. Then we're just going to pull that thing right off in one big chunk. There we go. I like to dry off any extra liquid that's on there. So the process that I like to use, we'll add a little bit of a binder onto the ribs here, and I've used different kinds of binders. Some folks like to use mustard. I have used a light olive oil before. You don't want to put too much of that on. What you don't want with your binder is to change the flavor per se of the meat. Today we're going to do a couple different cooks. We use a mustard base with one binder, and this time we're going to use our Sweet Sassy. I'm just going to put a light coating of that on the back side of the rib. What the binder does, it just kind of provides a place for our rub to stick to. The Sweet and Sassy is very complementary to a rub that we've designed here at the Dutch Oven Smokehouse. Of course, you can get Sweet and Sassy on our website. Now that we have a light coating of that, we've got a Kansas City style barbecue rub that we've made here. And we're going to lightly coat this back side of the rib with that. I don't like to overcoat my ribs, Joe, but just enough. Not too much, but just enough. Before we got started, we let these ribs come to room temperature. Now that we've got our binder and our rub on the back side of these ribs, we're going to let these sit for about 15 minutes. Kind of let that rub settle into the meat a little bit. Then we'll flip that over, do the other side, and then we'll get into the grill. All right, time for side 2. We've let this sit for 15 minutes. Use a little more Sweet and Sassy as our binder. We don't want to overdo it here, just enough to keep the rub able to stick to the top of these ribs. They look pretty, don't they, Joe?
They look gorgeous.
All right, Joe, we've let these sit another 10 to 12 minutes. We're going to take these to our Traeger. Traeger's the tool of choice today. Our first go round, we're going to set the Traeger about 225. We're using a hickory maple pellet today. And we're going to cook these, we're going to cook them on smoke for about 2 to 2.5 hours. As you can see, we've got the smoker set on about 220, 237 it says down here. That's pretty good. We've got them out in the sun though today. So actual heat, we're looking at about 240 on our temperature dial here on top of the smoker. So we've had these on 2.5 hours, and we're going to take them off. We'll have a good look at them here first. We've got 6 racks. So we're going to take these off, and we're going to lay them on our foil, which we'll show you here in a minute. We'll wrap them back up, place them back in the grill for another 2 hours. wrap these up. All right, Joe, so we've laid down a layer of brown sugar, some pats of butter, and then I employ a couple other tricks. I like my ribs a little sweet and spicy. My favorite flavor is apricot, so I'm going to take a little apricot preserves in addition to the brown sugar and butter. Let's lay some pats of that. All right, so we've cooked these with the curved side up, Joe, the first go around. This time, I'm gonna take the ribs and I'm gonna flip these over. I'm gonna lay the top side onto this coating of sugar and butter. I'm gonna wrap these up. We've got 2 layers of foil. This is pretty heavy foil, but you just wanna make sure that your foil doesn't rip and tear a hole in it. Roll the ends up, and then we're going to put those back on the grill just like that for another 2 hours. We've got 3 racks made with our apricot jelly. The next 3 racks we're going to finish up with some maple syrup instead of the jelly. Here we are. It's been 4.5 hours since I first put the first batch of ribs on this morning. We're gonna go pull a rack off, put it on our fancy cutting board here, check the doneness. I'll show you how to do that. In the meantime, I just want to remind you all of this fancy weird hat I have on today. Kind of showing that off. It is kind of weird, but it's very comfortable. You can use this for running, which I like to use. You can use it in your kayak. You can use it anywhere that's wet and sweaty. It's kind of cool. You take it off, wash it off in the sink, under the hydrant, tuck it in your backpack, put it in your front pocket, put it in your bib, pull it back out, put it back on the hat. Looks just about like it did before I took it off, right?
Yeah.
So, don't be afraid to go look at our website. In the apparel division, you can find these hats on there. They're very cool. They're basically waterproof. Fast drying wicking hats. All right, let's go check those ribs, Joe. All right, back to the Traeger. We've got the Traeger set at 211 here on the dial. Top of the grill is at 250. So we're assuming that the grate is probably about 225, right in the middle there. Pull this one out of the middle. Let's take it over to the table. We'll open it up, have a look at it. This rib has been in the smoker. I want to remind you, we put it in for 2.5 hours, unwrapped. We put our rub on there, 2.5 hours on 225, pulled those out, wrapped them in foil. On the bottom, we put a little coating of butter and brown sugar and apricot jelly in this particular one. So as a reminder, we've got the bottom side up. In this case, we're gonna unroll those, flip it over. What we're looking for here, guys, is a little pullback from the bone on the rib. Look at that juice coming out of there. Wow. We'll keep that up there kind of like a boat. We don't want that thing to go everywhere. So, as you can see here, we definitely have the pullback. These ribs are done. They're pulling back from the edge. Here we've got our KC rib with our 1853 rub. Let's slice into this thing, Joe. Can't hardly wait. Looks pretty good. can tell those things are done, but not overdone.
Man, that color on them is just beautiful.
Man, that looks pretty good, huh?
That looks fantastic.
Might be a little hot, but right there, man. Pretty good. Still a little chewy, but it all comes off. That's great. Well, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. It's been an awesome day. It's finally summer here in Colorado. Thanks for watching our inaugural barbecue video, even though we do this almost every day, at least every week. Hope you come back. Stay tuned in. We're gonna do some breakfast next time on the Dutch oven. Get you guys ready for some campfire cooking while you're going camping this summer. So stay tuned. See you guys soon.
On a scale of 1 to 10 Mahomes, how many would you rate this?
It's like 1 bite. Everybody knows the rules. Let's see.
What bite?
9-2.
It's a solid rating. That's a lot of Mahomes.
Yep, it's a good one.